Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back. So we have our nodes running and we have set up our stake pool and everything is running pretty nice, hopefully by this time. There's just one more thing that we want to do if we want to create a proper stake pool and actually being able to monitor it and perhaps to share this monitoring thing to our potential delegators so that they can see and follow on real time how our node is performing. And that is actually very simple. It just requires us to install a couple of things. One of those things we want to install is Prometheus. Prometheus will allow us to scrape our node to actually get some data and some metrics. And we will actually also want to install a node exporter in our node itself, in our server. So let me just do that. And just to let you know, I'm here using a Ubuntu server. This is not in Amazon, so the process will be a little bit different. So you can what I'm going to do now here is configure my firewall as as it says here in this article. If you are on Amazon, there is a kind of a different method which is depicted here, but in this case I'm not with Amazon, so I am going to use a different method. This would also work for VirtualBox. And well, the thing is that I want to update my firewall. So what I want to do here is that I want to allow incoming connections from my local machine to my server, but this time in a different port, which is the Prometheus port. This is where the node will put the metrics out so that it can be taken by Prometheus. And what we want to do here is first investigate which is the port that Prometheus uses, that the node uses to put available data for Prometheus. So let me just do a quick ls here. I want to go to my MC4. In this case, the testnets have updated, and I am running now in mainnet candidate 4. But you should continue doing this entire thing in the Shelly testnet. This is just for demonstration purposes, and for me it was I'm already connected to this network, so it's easier for me to simply use this one to demonstrate this. But apart from which network I am working in, everything will be exactly as I do it when you do it on the Shelly testnet, or in the, by the way, by the time you are watching this one, it will be probably called just Cardano testnet, okay? But just use Cardano testnet. I am using mainnet candidate 4 for the moment, but as I said, you just use Cardano testnet. So let me just query the files here. I want you to come to the config file. So let me just cat mainnet config JSON, and here in the file, the config file, it says that Prometheus data will be available at 127.98, but in this case I don't want to make it just for this computer, which is 127.0.1, but I want to make it from, for the moment I'm gonna make it just from any machine. You can obviously make it like for your particular IP, and I'm referring to this one here. So let me just edit this file with nano mainnet config, and let me just come here to, for the moment, as I was saying, I'm just gonna make the connection available for every machine in the world should be able to contact my node at port 12798. So this is important. This is the port that I want to open in my firewall. You can obviously change that. You can say 2098 or whatever, 1345. So actually we can just try that, and let's use a different so that you can have an idea of what I'm talking about, a better idea. So let me just use port 10,000, okay? And let me just Control O and Control X. There we go. So if I do cat again, just to make sure that my changes took effect. And as you can see, now I will be able to contact my machine at port 10,000, but I need to do that also with my firewall. So let me just sudo ufw allow proto TCP from any to any port 10,000. That kind of looks good. Relay one rule added. Okay, let me just check. Alas, sudo ufw status verbose. So there it is. Now my node can accept this connection on port 10,000, but let me just sudo ufw status numbered, and I'm going to delete this rule, not for TCP v6, but only for before. Okay, so let me just sudo ufw delete 6. Is that correct syntaxes? That kind of makes sense. Yes, it will ask again, probably. No. So numbered, yes. Delete 6, yes. There's something wrong with my file here, but it is working in any case. Okay, so let me just sudo ufw status verbose just to make sure that everything is correct. Verbose. So there you go. Now I have this new rule for my firewall. So now it will allow connections from any machine to this point, to this port 10,000. I have put together some nice information here under the reference section, additional material in the firewall, and there's how to configure the security groups in Amazon, or a general the general manual for UFW on Ubuntu. And so you can learn that on your own. You can kind of have a good idea of how these commands work for configuring your own firewall. So let me continue. I'm done here with the firewall, so I am ready to proceed. And one thing I want to do here is to download. I don't know if it is properly documented here. It's Grafana monitoring configure, probably here in the logging section. I'm not sure what I put that. Monitoring the node, monitoring with Prometheus. I think I had probably not here. Let me just come to very quickly to here, and I don't know if on the Cardano node section I have properly updated this documentation. And node with Prometheus. And yes, here we go. Let me just come here, and I am in the Prometheus website. So this is where you get the downloads for your version of your machine. So this will not be actually on my node, but actually it is to be on my local machine. And on my local machine, I need to install Prometheus. and Prometheus will allow me to scrape my node. So right now I am on a Mac, so I am using Darwin. So I can copy link address here, and let me just use wget and that, and I am downloading Prometheus. I'll just make this a little bit bigger so that you can actually read something on your screen and something like that. So again, this is not on my server but in my local machine, because my local machine is the one that I am going to use for scraping my node. And you can do this one, for example, you can have a different server that will allow you just to monitor your node servers, and that would be a third server you have to put together, and you could run Prometheus from there. But for now, I am using my local machine just for this. Okay, so now I have downloaded Prometheus, and I should be ready to uncompress it, as it says. Let me just show you ls no tar xf. What it suggests using xbfz Prometheus dash okay, there we go. So let me go to Prometheus. There we go. And as you can see here, I have the files for Prometheus. And before I can start Prometheus, I need to edit, as it says here in the Prometheus documentation, I have to edit the prometheus.yaml file, which you can see is here. So let me just use, in this case, atom prometheus.yaml YML, and it will open up Atom for me, and it will open the file. And this is how Prometheus looks like as default, and it's configured to basically scrape itself. But let us just make some different configurations here. And for that, let me come back here to the official documentation. I will make sure that this documentation is in our handbook so that you don't struggle. So let me just come back here to Prometheus. So this is what I want to update here on the scrape configs. As you can see, let me just grab this couple of lines for the first basic configuration. Let me just copy here and that, and I will let me just make sure that the indentation is correct. It looks like it's there, and now let me just delete this one. Okay, and that's a comment. So here I have to update this target, and this target is my actual node, which I know my IP address is here, 138.128.242.120. So that's what I'm going to update here. I'm going to, just so that I can see my IP address, it is 138. Oh, I made a mistake. Targets 138.128.242.120, and I changed this port to be 10,000. Right? And now, let me just, before I close this file, let me come here this time to my own node, this one is in the node, not in my local machine. I want to install node exporter, and this will give us more relevant data, more additional information uh, related with the actual behavior of the server. But my session there was terminated. Let me just open up a new window, and let me just connect to it. Let's make this a little bit bigger so that you can read. So, oops, there we go. So I can come here and install the node exporter as it says here. And let me just check what version of the node exporter I want to install. And it is here. This is node exporter I am using for Linux. So this is the one that I want. Let me just grab this one, copy link address, and I come here to wget, and the link address that I just copied. This is good to go. Let me just go back, and I will follow these instructions. So I need to uncompress node exporter. So if I do tar xvfz node, there it is. Let me just now do ls. So I can remove the installer. I no longer need it. Remove node exporter dot exactly that. So now I can go into the node exporter folder. There we go. And we want to run it. Let me just run it with node exporter. But before I just run it, I need to go again to sudo ufw allow proto TCP from any to any port, and the port it uses is 9100. So let me just say 9100, and that should do. My password, hope it's good. And so I can do sudo ufw status verbose. There it is. So I could delete this rule also for v6, but right now we are exactly where we want it to be, and we can simply come here and node exporter and run it, and it will be running. Now if you want to detach that process from the terminal, you do Control Z and you do BG for background, and now it is running in the background, so it's detached from the terminal that you were using here. So you can still do things here. Let me just clear that screen. Let me go to my home directory, and my node exporter is running. So I can continue configuring my YAML file here in my computer, and for that I want to scrape the node exporter that we just configured and run, and I can use 128.100.242.120, and this is the correct port. So I'm ready to go. I can simply come here and command save, or you can come here and save. Okay, Control save. And I'm good to go here. And if you go back to, again, to our documentation here, we are going to start Prometheus with this command. Okay. did not find expected key. Okay, so I messed it up a little bit with my file here. Let me just check. I probably lose a bracket or something. Is that perhaps just indentation here? Yeah, it's probably that. Let me just come here and fix this. And let me just come here. And it is probably just that. Come and save. Let me just try to run this again. And oops, come and save. I want to run this one. Allow. The server is ready to receive web requests. So now, if you can see it here, if you go to your browser and go to 127.0.0.1 and it was 1990 for Prometheus, 9090. Now you are on Prometheus, and if you come here to status, targets, okay, this one is working for the node exporter, but the one with okay, I know what's going on. I need to stop this. I need to stop the node, and I actually need to restart it because since I changed the configuration file, I need to restart the node so that I can actually use the new configuration, right? So let me just come here. Oh, come on. And profile and CLR. So yes, as you can see, it is this one. And let me just come here and start the node with this. And now I am using my updated config file, and this one should allow me to scrape data. See? So the problem here was that I did not restart my node, so it was not aware that it should send the Prometheus data into the port 10,000. So now we have Prometheus, and this is what you can do with Prometheus. For example, you can come here to Prometheus and let's find for a metric. For example, let's find some interesting thing. Well, some very basic, like the current epoch. And if you execute that, add the graph. Oh, sorry, remove graph. And yeah. There you go. So this is the current epoch, and this is that on mainnet candidate. We are on epoch 13, which actually I can come here and try to check here where it says delegation center. And as you can see, this version of Daedalus is connected to mainnet candidate, and we are in epoch 13. So this is all the available metrics that you have from the node, and you can graph them very nicely. And that is the thing that we are going to do with Grafana in our next video.